Imagine waking up on a holiday morning, checking your bank account, and finding your payment already there. No delays, no stress, just early money when you need it most. That's exactly what's happening right now for millions of SSI, SSDI, and VA beneficiaries across the country, and if you want to stay ahead of every payment schedule and never miss critical updates about your benefits, hit that subscribe button right now because we're breaking down everything you need to know about these midnight payment drops. The holiday season brings a unique twist to federal benefit payments that catches many people off guard every single year. While most beneficiaries are familiar with their regular payment dates, the government has specific rules about what happens when those dates fall on weekends or federal holidays, and understanding these rules can mean the difference between financial peace of mind and unnecessary panic. Right now, we're in the middle of one of those special payment windows where early deposits are hitting accounts at midnight, and the timing couldn't be better for families preparing for holiday expenses. The Social Security Administration and the Department of Veterans Affairs both follow strict protocols to ensure that no beneficiary goes without their payment because of a holiday closure, which means payments get shifted forward to the last banking day before the holiday. Let's talk about what's actually happening with these midnight deposits because there's a lot of confusion out there, and clarity is what you need right now. When a regular payment date falls on a Saturday, Sunday, or federal holiday, the SSA and VA automatically move that payment to the preceding business day. This isn't a random act of kindness, it's federal policy designed to protect beneficiaries from financial disruption. The midnight timing you're seeing isn't actually the government sending payments at the stroke of 12, it's your bank processing the direct deposit transaction overnight so the funds are available first thing in the morning. Most banks receive the payment files from the Treasury Department during business hours the day before. Then they process these transactions in batches overnight, which is why so many people wake up to find their money already available. For SSI recipients specifically, the payment schedule works a bit differently than other benefit programs, and this is where a lot of people get confused. SSI payments are typically scheduled for the first of every month, but when the first falls on a weekend or holiday, that payment gets moved to the last business day of the previous month. This means that during certain months, SSI recipients might see two payments within the same calendar month: their regular payment and an early payment for the following month. It's not extra money, and it's not a mistake, it's simply the timing working out so that two monthly payments happen to arrive in the same 30-day period. The important thing to understand is that after receiving that early payment, there will be a longer gap before the next one arrives because you've essentially been paid ahead of schedule. SSDI beneficiaries follow a completely different payment calendar based on their birth date, and this system has been in place for years to spread out the processing load. If you were born between the 1st and 10th of the month, your payment comes on the second Wednesday of each month. Birth dates from the 11th to the 20th mean your payment arrives on the third Wednesday, and if you were born between the 21st and the 31st, you get paid on the fourth Wednesday. However, when any of these Wednesdays falls immediately after a federal holiday, or when a holiday falls on your regular payment date, the entire schedule shifts backward to ensure you're not left waiting. The Treasury Department coordinates with thousands of financial institutions across the country to make sure these early payments process smoothly, and the vast majority of beneficiaries receive their funds without any issues. VA beneficiaries are experiencing similar early payment scenarios, especially with multiple federal holidays clustering together during this time of year. The Department of Veterans Affairs typically issues benefit payments on the first business day of each month, which means veterans receiving disability compensation, pension benefits, or other VA payments see their money arrive right at the start of every month. When the first is a holiday or weekend, that payment shifts to the last business day of the previous month, just like SSI. Veterans who rely on these payments for housing, medical expenses, and daily living costs benefit enormously from this early payment system because it means they're never stuck waiting through a long holiday weekend without access to their money. One of the biggest questions people have is whether these early payments affect future payment dates, and the answer is both yes and no, depending on what type of benefit you receive. For SSI, as we mentioned earlier, getting an early payment does create a longer gap until your next deposit because you've been paid for the upcoming month already. If you receive your December payment at the end of November because the first falls on a weekend, your next payment won't arrive until the end of December or potentially early January, depending on how the calendar falls. This longer gap is something you need to budget for because it's easy to forget that you're essentially going 6 or 7 weeks between payments instead of the usual month. For SSDI and VA benefits, The early payment typically doesn't create the same extended gap because these programs maintain their regular monthly schedule regardless of when the previous payment arrived. The midnight deposit phenomenon is particularly noticeable during holiday periods because so many people are actively checking their accounts, worried about whether their money will arrive on time. Banks have become increasingly efficient at processing these overnight transactions, and many financial institutions now make direct deposits available even earlier than they used to, sometimes as early as 9 or 10 p.m. the night before the official payment date. This is entirely up to your bank's processing schedule and has nothing to do with when the government actually sends the money. The Treasury Department transmits payment files to banks with a specific posting date, and banks are required to make those funds available no later than that date, but many choose to release them earlier as a service to their customers. Understanding your payment schedule is absolutely critical for financial planning, especially during the holiday season when expenses tend to spike. Knowing exactly when your money will hit your account allows you to plan for bills, groceries, gifts, and other expenses without the anxiety of wondering whether you'll have access to your funds. The SSA provides a comprehensive payment schedule on their website that shows every payment date for the entire year, including adjusted dates for holidays and weekends. The VA offers similar calendars specifically for veterans' benefits. Checking these schedules at the beginning of each year and marking them on your personal calendar can save you countless hours of worry and help you avoid unnecessary calls to customer service lines that are often overwhelmed during busy periods. There's also important information you need to know about what to do if your early payment doesn't arrive as expected. While the vast majority of direct deposits process without any problems, occasional issues can arise due to bank errors, outdated account information, or other administrative problems. If your payment doesn't appear by noon on the day it's supposed to be available, your first step should be to check with your bank to confirm they've received and processed the deposit. Many times, what appears to be a missing payment is actually just a processing delay at the bank level. If your bank confirms they haven't received anything from the Treasury Department, then it's time to contact the SSA or VA directly, depending on which benefit you receive. Keep in mind that during holiday periods, wait times for customer service can be extremely long, so patience is essential. The technology behind these benefit payments has evolved dramatically over the past few decades, making the system more reliable and efficient than ever before. Direct deposit is now the standard method for virtually all federal benefit payments, with paper checks becoming increasingly rare. This electronic system allows for faster processing, better security, and more reliable delivery, especially during weather events or other disruptions that might delay mail service. The midnight processing window that banks use has become so standardized that most beneficiaries now expect their money to be available first thing in the morning on payment day, and banks have invested heavily in systems that make this possible. For those of you still receiving paper checks, you should know that these payments face different timing challenges, especially around holidays. Paper checks are mailed several days before the payment date to account for postal delivery time, but holidays can disrupt mail schedules and cause delays. If you're still receiving paper checks and experiencing frequent delays or other issues, switching to direct deposit is almost always the better option. The process is straightforward. You can set up direct deposit through your online Social Security account, by calling the SSA directly, or by visiting your local Social Security office. The same options exist for VA beneficiaries through the VA's payment system.